Hello and welcome to the Fine Arts Show with Besim. So last time we had finished Christ's face, and then we said we'd make our way downwards. So next I would say St. Mary's hands and Christ's hands as well. So hopefully today we can do that. Okay, so since Christ's hands are a little bit on the left-hand side, on our left, I'm going to want to start with his hand. That way I can rest my hand freely without having to be careful about St. Mary's hands being wet. That way I won't touch it. Okay, so for the chubby hand, okay, I'm going to use pinks. Using my handy, tiny, pointy brush, and we'll start doing some outlining. Whites. Now don't put too much paint on your canvas because you want to allow for quick drying time of the paints. And that way you can go back and touch it up. Again, I'm using that angled brush because I think this is the appropriate size. The hand is the appropriate size for the use of this brush. Doesn't cover too much surface. And glides across the canvas quite beautifully, actually. I'm pressing my brush down. When you press your brush down, it releases a little bit more paint. So that allows you to go across the surface with also limiting the paint along another line, like if you don't want to go into the sleeve. So there's always a bunch of techniques that you get to pick up along the learning process of painting. Okay, so the bottom part of the hand, the wrist area, is a little bit darker. I'm going to take the excess off and put a little bit more white for highlights. Between my fingers there's that cute chubby white area. gonna bring my tiny brush. And pick up just enough paint that could be released on the canvas, not too much. And again, I'm using that drawing technique, almost like cross-hatching. That's too much paint. Okay. And feel free to turn your canvas side to side. Makes it easier to it can get a hint tricky with different perspectives and the way the fingers are bent. So I think what I'll do is I'll leave this for now and move on to St. Mary's hands. I can always get back to it. Of course I will when I put the fingernails, but I do want to kind of leave it for a bit. It's always hard for me to leave stuff unfinished. But I think I have to bring myself to doing that. Okay, now for St. Mary's hand, I'm going to just dip that one more time in the turpentine. So it's a little more runny. Make sure it's not too runny though, because that way you get to, you'll have to try harder to gain control of the paint. So once again, this painting is called Madonna of the Streets. If you want to look it up at home. And it's by Robert Ferruti. Oh, started dripping turpentine there. No worries, it dries right away. So now that I'm done the outline, I'm just painting it in. Filling in the spaces. And of course you have to make sure that you do touch all the outlines. Even if you go over the outline, you can always go on top of it again and re-outline your the shape. Going to paint in the fingernails the same color and then go back to them and put a little more detail. I'm just going to re-outline this one finger here and this one as well. You know what? Why not? Okay. So for the fingernails, I'm just going to use pure white, simply because it's going to mix with the paint I applied before. And I'm going to paint them in. And now I'm going to put heavy white to seem as if there's a sort of glare. If you're looking at my own nails, there's a glare from light. So I'm going to do that as well. Just gives it that little bit of extra realism. Put some pure pinks as well, because your fingernails are a little bit more pink than the rest of your skin. So that's definitely getting there. Time for some shading. A little bit of that yellow or ochre, a little bit of the orange, okay, and then whites, and then I'm going to mix a little bit of the turpentine or mineral spirits, okay, just to make it a little more watery and flowy. Okay. again, when you press your brush down, it makes it easier to paint one straight line instead of this. I'm going to put a little bit of the dark brown, which is the raw umber. I'm trying to paint the inside of the veil right now. Mix it in with the pure raw umber that I had put in earlier. Now naturally some parts are highlighted and some parts are just darker, where you see folds and things like that. Okay, put more. I'm going to add a little bit of the burnt sienna as well, and a little bit more of the orange. More turpentine. Now pure raw umber, some areas, and it actually mixed with what I already had on my brush, so that's pretty good. Looks a little more natural. And it doesn't have to be consistent. I actually don't prefer consistency when it comes to clothing because it looks less natural. Add a hint of mineral spirits. Okay, so St. Mary's veil is starting to take shape here. Okay. So once this brown here dries a little more, I'm going to go over it with pure raw umber because I do want to make it a little bit darker than it already is right now. So I think and don't be afraid to touch the edge. Worst comes to worst, doesn't look good, you can always go over it again. Okay, I think it's coming along quite nicely. Pure white here because I know it will mix. Okay, wonderful. So I think you should leave that to dry. I would leave that to dry a little bit so that I can put more and more layers on this. At this point, almost done the veil. Looks like this. Now I'm going to make my way down towards St. Mary's robe and Christ's body. Okay, thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.